So in light of the Pujols plantar fasciitis condition and him potentially being out for the rest of the year, we here at Halo Haven thought we'd sit down and we'd kind of take a moment to go over our thoughts on the Pujols administration in Anaheim to this point, kind of talk about where we were when he was signed to the team, what we think the future will be like. We also took a moment to field a couple questions from individuals out there, either that were emailed to us or tweeted to us. So the first thing I want to ask right now is, where were you and what did you first think of the Pujols signing?
Oh, I remember it distinctly, Lawrence. I was laying on my couch, staying up all night, and talking about Pujols going to the Marlins. That was all the talk. Woke up 6 o'clock in the morning. It was broke on ESPN. I thought Christmas came early.
I think I actually heard it from you first, and it was very early. ESPN broke it, and then it was the MLB Network. I'm not sure who broke it first.
C.J. Wilson was signed right after that. I just thought it was a new era of Angels baseball. I'm telling you.
I mean, it was like this euphoria you felt, because the year before we didn't have a bad season. The year before, I mean, Texas just had such a lights out year. We just fell short of our goal going to the playoffs, and you thought he was the missing link. You thought that bringing Pujols in was going to be that piece that we were just missing offensively that was going to take us to the next level, and not even just to the next level. You thought there were World Series aspirations to begin with. So yeah, I think pretty much everybody. It dominated AM 830. It dominated the sports talk radio, and I mean there just was collective euphoria. Everybody thought that this was going to be an automatic ticket to several World Series appearances, if not a couple of wins. So far at this point, a year and a half plus into it, what are your thoughts on the Pujols signing so far?
My thoughts are, I think this is going to be the worst signing in baseball history, hands down. I don't think there's anything that's going to compare to this. You compare this to the A-Rod signing. It's not even. I think at the end of the contract, you're going to look back and you're going to say this is worse than the A-Rod signing for sure.
So you think
we thought we'd at least get 5 good years out of him. Then we'd have him DH. We're already DH in him year 2 already. He's already out for the rest of the season. I don't know where we go from here.
I mean, like, unless there's some kind of drastic turnaround. I mean, like, what does he have left? What's left in his tank? I mean, he looks like he's 50 years old out there playing. Like at least he runs like he's 50 years old. And with the decline,
I mean, it looks like Grandpa Munster's, trying to run around the bases, hobbling along.
Oh, no, it's terrible.
Double play machine.
And he wasn't particularly fast to begin with, but it looks really bad out there. I mean, just you have to ask yourself. Let's even say 2 years into this deal, what's left? You don't even want to ask what's left on the backside of it. But I mean, what does he in the next 3 years have? So you'd say it's worse than the A-Rod signing?
Yeah, I think it's worse than the Mo Vaughn signing. To be quite honest with you, I'm kind of liking that Mo Vaughn signing in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, I never thought I'd ever say that, but look at the numbers; they're somewhat comparable.
Yeah, I know, very comparable. And that's something a lot of people will say. He's a pariah for Angels fans. Mo Vaughn, he's the brunt of a lot of jokes. But if you look at Mo Vaughn's production-wise in Anaheim, he's a very productive hitter, and very similar in comparison to Pujols when you put them two together. I will say too, the A-Rod is just, I mean, a train wreck for New York. But at least they squeezed the World Series championship out of him. And there's still a lot of years. There's still lots that needs to play out.
Yeah, I'm just so disgusted with all the look what he did in St. Louis talk. Where he's in Anaheim now, we're paying him the money, and we're paying him for past accolades. He was the greatest player through 10 years. He was the greatest this. He was the greatest that. Well, that's fine and dandy, but we're paying him for what he needs to do right now for our franchise, and he's not producing.
Right, and that really irks me too when they talk about past production. That pertains to St. Louis. What do you think about the future of the Pujols era in Anaheim?
I think it's we're going to be 3 years in, and we're not going to know what to do. What do? You're paying a guy that much money. The way the contract is structured, he's going to be making more money each year. In his later years, when he's approaching 40 years old, he's going to be making more money than he is now. The biggest problem I have with it is that when Mike Trout's ready for free agency, we're not going to have the funds. They're all locked up between Pujols, Hamilton, C.J. Wilson. And so we're gonna have to let Mike Trout walk. We can't. We're gonna be over the luxury tax if we dropped him the money that the Yankees, the Phillies, Orioles are gonna offer him. So what are we gonna do there? Let a future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players probably ever to come through the Angels franchise, just walk away, and that's what he's gonna cost us. So we're not even talking about his production, just what he's gonna stop us from doing.
And you're probably talking about at the time. I don't think this is far fetched to assume that he's probably gonna be a $300 million guy. When he gets ready to sign, he's going to be 26. He's going to be in his legitimate prime. He's not going to be 32 like Pujols was. So I mean, I don't think it's far fetched to say, hey, you know what, Trout might sign a $300 million contract, and that's a scary thought when you have Pujols, who will, I think by the time Pujols is 41 or 42, by the time his contract is up, will be making $30 million a year, and that's just a very frightening prospect to consider. And as far as what his signing will do to us, you're already seeing it now. You're pursuing pitching on the cheap. You can't go out and get solid name pitchers because you're operating under the salary cap.
We got Joe Bland.
Well, yeah, and that's what you get. I mean, that's what you're going to get during the Pujols administration.
Yeah, we have no other funds to work with, so
you're looking
scraping the bottom of the barrel. Nobody in the farm system. It's tough.
You're looking at Blanton. You're looking at taking gambles on people like Tommy Hanson, and unless Artie says at some point he's going to be willing to go above the luxury tax, which he's given all indications that he's not. This is what you're looking at. You're looking at not a complete rotation. You're looking at kind of putting in pieces on the cheap. It's really scary when you think of what the future holds. I mean, like I said, we're 2 years into this thing. He's going to make more as time goes on. Very, very, very scary prospect indeed. So
we'll take some phone calls now. Do you think?
What we'll do first is we'll take some questions that were given to us, that were tweeted to us actually and emailed to us. First one is from Ray in San Bernardino. Do you think Pujols will walk before the end of his contract?
You think he's just gonna walk away?
Do you think he'll walk away?
Do the right thing?
Knowing
that he has nothing else to put out there and stop collecting that paycheck. I think
will Pujols realize that?
One thing I will say about Albert is he's a good guy. He's a Christian guy. He has values in place, and even though he commanded such a big contract, I feel like he realizes that he has enough money in the bank that he could walk away and go out on top. I don't think he wants to be that Babe Ruth playing for the Boston Braves. I don't think he wants to go down like that. So maybe he will, and hopefully he will if it gets to that point. We'll see. We'll see how that fasciitis does.
And the first thing the disclaimer I want to put out there first and foremost is that the opinions that we share here, I would jump for joy, and I'd be the first person to celebrate a Pujols MVP candidacy. We want nothing more for him than to succeed, but we're just giving our opinions and our views on the situation as we see it in real life, in real time. And so, but again, we want this guy to succeed. We're not hating on him.
I might look at this poster we have in the background.
Yeah, look at this life-size Pujols we got right behind us. I mean, that shows how much support we have from nothing more than success for him. But yeah, I think the inference is that will he be so prideful in his performance and in his history of winning and his legacy of winning, if he continues to decline, will he walk away? And who knows, because he's going to have a lot. The way they back-ended his contract so that he was making more money towards the end of it, and if he walks, he stands to lose a lot. So we'll see with that, but he does seem like he's a very prideful individual and somebody who, what if in year 6 and year 7 he's batting 200, and he's maybe has 5-6 home runs by the All-Star break. He does seem like he may be an individual who would walk and try to keep more of his legacy intact, but we'll see. The second question is from Kai in Newport Beach. Will Pujols ever be an MVP again?
I'm thinking maybe he'll be an MVP maybe of the Angels, but I don't even know if that's possible when you have someone like Mike Trout around. So, I mean, again, I hate to put Pujols down, but I just don't think it's realistic.
Right. I think
you're not even the MVP of your own team. Mike Trout runs Anaheim, and Pujols is playing second fiddle to Mike Trout, and he can't put up those Mike Trout numbers, so there's no way he's going to get another MVP.
He's definitely playing.
There's no way.
He's definitely playing second fiddle right away in his second year, and I mean you can even tell by how the Angels market Pujols. He's nowhere to be found on stadium giveaways. I mean, they have a pint glass, but I mean Trout overwhelmingly dominates, and you can already see that they're trying to transition. Trout in that position of superstardom, whereas he's the Robin to Trout being Batman. Will he ever be MVP again? Bob Costas said no, and so I'll go along with Bob Costas.
You got to go with Bob Costas.
I'll go along with Bob Costas. So Eugene in Seattle says, will this be the downfall of the Angels franchise? The Pujols signing.
The Pujols signing? Definitely. It's locked them up for 10 years. Man, I could have a kid today, and 10 years from now, Albert Pujols will still be on the Angels. And, when we're in year 2, look at the numbers. I mean, they're mediocre, to say the least. You see the drop-off in the batting average, lifetime over 330 hitter, batting right around the mid-250s right now. That's the greatest drop-off for someone on his caliber in the history of baseball. So what's to blame? I don't think it's solely the plantar fasciitis. There's got to be more reasons there. Maybe he's a little bit older than we thought he was. I'm not trying to implicate him with steroid use, but it's worth tossing out there. So,
right, and yeah, that's a good point. It's even though plantar fasciitis has hindered him throughout years and years.
But 80-point drop off.
Yeah,
he's been experiencing this for 6-7 years, but he still produced. So.
The apologists are going to say, hey, he's hurt this year, but the statistics don't lie. Where you go back to 1998, if you look from 1998 to today, he's average dropped over 100 points, and I mean, it's not only the injury that's causing that decline. That's might be age, and there are credible sports writers out there that have also whispered and have written about him potentially being older than he is. Who knows? Obviously that's speculation, but you have to take it all in whole in order to explain or try to project forward how this is going to affect the franchise. And we'll see. I mean, the downfall. It's going to make it very hard for them to make moves in the future. That's a given.
I mean, we're seeing it already. Trade deadline. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't. Nobody's taking that contract. We're playing with. We're just scrambling here, and we're just really locked down. We're between Pujols, Hamilton. Not a lot we can do. We don't have anybody in the farm, so it's sad. There's sad days for an Angel fan right now, definitely.
I'll stop short of saying downfall, and I'll say that it's going to very much handcuff him. And in order for it not to be a downfall, it's going to take Trout, Weaver, C.J. Wilson. It's going to take these guys to play at exceptional levels going forward and to resuscitate what's going on. If that's not the case, then yeah, you're going to look towards very dark days ahead. But so that will conclude our little discussion on Pujols. Feel free to email us back, to message us back on this subject matter. We can revisit it again. It's a fascinating topic to us because he is such a focal point and a central figure to what the Angels do. So thank you for submitting your questions, and we hope to hear back from you as soon as possible. Thank you.